item for this town council meeting. Just I think everyone in the room has been here before, but the toilets are there, and 2 fire exits there, and over there. We're going to go through the agenda point by point. Hopefully everyone's received their agenda papers. Excellent start already. I do have a couple of announcements to make. The first one is just this Sunday we have the return of the Farms and Craft Market, and it is going to be from 10 till 2 PM, and we're now in Civic Office car park. So I'm informed it's going to be our biggest and best yet. So please do try and come along. It'll be great to see as many of you there as possible. The second announcement is much more upsetting. It's to announce the passing, very sad passing, of Councillors Chilly and Shah at Hearts Borough Council, the Councillor for Bushy Park. I just like us to pause for a moment of reflection to think about him and his relatives. Thank you, members. Agenda item number 2, apologies. Do we have no? Great. And agenda item number 3, declaration of interest. Oh, declaration of interest, number 3. Councillor Newmark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Declare an other declarable interest in item 12.2, the WD6 food support application, because it relates to a bid for SIL funding to refurbish their premises, which are occupied on a licence agreement from Hartsmith Borough Council, and as both leader of the council and the cabinet member responsible for asset management, I have that non-pecuniary interest. I'm advised that I can properly stay in the meeting for that item and participate in the discussion, but should avoid voting, so we'll do so.
Thank you. Are there any other declarations of interest? Councillor Smith?
Yeah, I'm a non-pecuniary interest as a founding member of WD6 Food Support.
Thank you. Anyone else? No. So I'm going to read my own non-pecuniary interest for myself and Sandra. I declare a non-pecuniary interest in item 12.3 Royal Football Club application as a season ticket holder. Anyone else know this? Okay. Right, so on to point number 4, public participation. We can receive questions and statements from the public in relation to the items on the agenda, and if anyone would like to speak, they have a maximum of 3 minutes, and there should be no more than 20 minutes for the entire section. Would any member of the public like to say anything?
Would that be us by any chance?
Yeah. You'll be in the section. Yeah.
Okay.
No? And the same sort of there'll be in the section. Okay, we'll move on to item 5, that's the minutes, to approve the minutes as listed on the agenda for each of the 3 sets of minutes. Agreed. Okay, and point number 6, the signed minutes. To note the signed minutes of the committees in your table in your paper. That's there's 5 sets of signed minutes there. I'm just noting those. Okay, members, under Standing Orders 1A, I will vary the order of the agenda, and we will take item 12, that's the seal bids, and then return to the published order. This is to accommodate representatives and their domestic requirements. So we're moving to what was point 12, which is a community infrastructure levy. Okay, so 12.1, we're noting the seal balance on 31st of March 2026 of £27,078 and 5 pence. And item 12.2 is the WD6 food support application. To note that the full application supporting documentation is attached to the environment planning agenda on 10th of March 2026. And point A here, we're receiving a presentation from the applicant, who have a maximum of 10 minutes. And any questions that you have, you can ask them to the applicant now, through the chair, please, once they're finished. That's a big moment.
She doesn't quite need a mic. Good evening, Mayor, councillors and officers. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Janice, and for those that don't know, this is Lisa, and we're here on behalf of WD Food Support. We would like to place on record our sincere thanks to the members of the Environment and Planning Committee for taking the time to consider our application in detail. We are grateful for the constructive engagement and the recommendation that has been brought forward to full council. We recognise that the final decision rests with this council, and we appreciate the opportunity to present our case this evening. We are here tonight to ask this council for something that will change lives in our community. Permission for WD6 Food Support to develop the Brook Meadow Pavilion into a dedicated food bank facility. Let me start with a number. 46,170 meals. This is what we have provided to families in this ward last year. 46,170 meals from just under 20,000 kilograms of food collected to a single supplier alone. That food would normally go to landfill. Each week we support around 250 families, the vast majority of whom are residents of Elstree and Boreham Wood. These are working households, older residents and family who unexpectedly find themselves in need of support.
As the town council continues to grow, we are seeking increasing demand. New housing, changing economic pressures and population growth are all contributing to a rising need within the community. At present, our ability to respond is limited not by commitment, but by infrastructure. Our current premises restrict the number of residents we can safely support, the hours we are able to operate, and the accessibility to the service. The proposal before you is not about funding day-to-day provisions. It is about renovating Brookmead Pavilion to create a permanent, fit-for-purpose base for our operation. This would allow us extended open hours, included for those in employment, increase capacity to meet demand, improve accessibility and dignity for our users, and provide a stable, long-term facility embedded within the community.
This is fundamentally an investment in local community infrastructure, a building that enables support, a facility that grows alongside the town, a a space that ensures services can meet the needs arising from a changing and expanding population. Without this investment, the service will continue, but in a limited form. With it, we can provide a sustainable long-term solution that strengthens resilience across Elstree and Boreham Wood. We understand the importance of ensuring that community infrastructure levy funding is used appropriately, and we have sought to ensure that this proposal is capital in nature, focused on a defined local facility and directly benefiting residents within the parish. We are not asking the council to solve the wider issue of food insecurity. We're asking for support to provide the infrastructure that allows a local organisation to respond effectively to local need. Thank you for your time this evening, and we would be pleased to answer any questions.
Thank you very much indeed for that and for all the amazing work that you do. Members, do you have any questions for our guests? Councillor Piner?
Janice,
Yes,
it's nice to meet you.
nice to meet you
Just
too.
heard your name.
A few times.
The 5%, I know you've got here to come, where do the others come from? Where does the extra 5% that don't live in Elstree or where do you ask people where they come from?
We do,
You do.
and sometimes they're word of mouth or they're seen on Facebook. We have one gentleman who is special needs. He comes for miles, he gets on the bus to come to our food bank because he feels safe, he knows us, and he's been with us for a couple of years now. So yes, a lot of it, we get people from Potters Bar area, where they don't have
They don't have a food bank, do they?
They don't, no. They do have something that used to
They
run
have
on
a very small facility that was run, I think, once in a blue moon.
And they don't have one in Bushy, do they not have one in Bushy?
There is one in Bushy, but not to the same capacity. I think it's called Red Hall or Red Bush or something like that
Okay.
in Bushy, which is only at the weekends.
Okay. Well, that's good actually, if it's a weekend. as well.
Yes. I actually haven't been there myself, so I don't know what they offer to their service users, but we try and encompass everybody from all walks
Yeah, it's
of
very
life.
good, it's very noble of you really, what you do. I mean, you live in Bushy, don't you?
Yes,
So it's.
I do. Yeah.
And
But I think no.
No, it's very,
she spends more time in Borough Wood than
I
I
do.
do.
but Lisa, you're here.
I am here.
Just to remind members, you're supposed to ask questions to the chair, but it's okay.
I'm sorry, through the chair, I should have done that through the chair. Big forwards.
Anyone
Really
who's
sorry.
never been there before, sounds like. Members, do you have any more questions, please? Yeah, Councillor Whitman.
Mr. Mayor, I'm just very interested to know, there's the gratitude as well in the town,
Yes.
and I'm fully aware of what you do. I was there when you started up. So how do you differ from gratitude, and is there need for both WD6 and gratitude in the town?
Gratitude is a vegetarian food bank. So we differ from them because we provide meat, fish, that sort of produce, halal,
Kosher
meat.
if we need to. So we can supply food across the board. And Gratitude aren't just a food bank. There are a lot more going on. So we find that we are more qualified to give the food, maybe qualified is not the right word, I can see the way you're looking at me, but I'm not a politician. But we just base our needs on the supply of food and toiletries. That's it. We don't open it out to furniture
And
or
clothes
and
clothes
and all that.
and you know, we like to keep on top of everything. And people come to us because we are a very friendly team. And it's been the same team for many, many
Well,
years.
since we started,
Since we started,
virtually.
there's been the three of us. Vic's not here this evening, but we are the founder members that started the charity. We got our charity status in less than a year, and people come because they like the chatter that they get, they like the G that they get, and they do
They
like,
feel safe.
they feel safe, and they talk to us not, it's about their whole lives they talk to us. So that it's not in and out. We take time to spend time with anybody that needs us.
Councillor Turner?
Thank you. You mentioned the possibility of kosher food, which in this area, there are quite a lot of Jewish people, is very important. Can you enlarge on that, please?
Okay, so like we said, we provide halal food, halal meats, and we go out and we purchase that. That has to come out of our income because it's not food that's donated to us. And by the same token, we would do the same, or we do the same, when we have Jewish service users. As it so happens, we don't get, thank God, we don't get a lot of them. The ones that we do, if they come on a regular basis, then I personally would go and get the food so that they have it. We don't want them to feel, we don't want anybody to feel different or excluded from the next person. So if there's meat available for the service users, there will be halal meat, there will be kosher meat, there will be fish. We do our best to accommodate where we can.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for, it was very insightful. I just had a question on like remaining funds. So we provide the 27,000, where would the remaining funds come from?
We have some funds already in our account that's been donated to us for use to develop the food bank. Obviously, if we decide to go ahead with the extension, we will have to raise more monies to do that because there's not enough funding, unfortunately, for us not to have to go elsewhere. I'd rather not, and it would be nice if we could keep all the funding within Herts there, but if it's not, then we do have the opportunity to raise money from the National Lottery because it's the sort of project that they would be in favour of. But that will be a last resort.
Yeah, do you have a follow-up question?
Just a follow-up question. So that delay the timing of when the works will start?
Not for right now. We've got the extra funds already ring-fenced.
So we can start immediately that we have full permission from the council and the funds are placed with us, then we will start the renovations because it would be nice to get it all done by the summer and then we can, because of where the pavilion is situated, we could maybe work with a couple of other charities in the area and do a bit of a day for our clients and their children, which I know that we'll get support for.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions on this? No. I'll make this the last one because we should move on. Please, Councillor Garvey.
Is food bank one of the approved items in C or for C funding?
I believe it is because it's building, isn't it? So it can be, that's my understanding. So,
I just want to know, you said 3 to 4 months, but how long have you been oh, sorry. Lord, I'm in Manchester. How long have you have the food bank been going?
We started in November 2020. We got our charitable status in June 21. We originally started operating out of the rugby club in Croxdale Road, and then we moved into the school. And whilst we've been really, really happy in the school, it is very limiting. It's limiting for our service users' parents. It's the poorest school in the ward, yet we don't get many parents, and that's because of peers. They don't want to be seen coming into a food bank. So we foresee that our numbers will climb if we move from the school into our own premises. And we've grown and we need our own home. We need to be able to decide what we want to do, when we want to do it. Do we want to open later in the afternoon to service people that are working and then get off the train, but they're still in food poverty. There's a lot of things that we can't do whilst we're at the school. We have to stop, and understandably, this is not a criticism of the school, it's safeguarding, but we have a collection on a Friday which we can't do anything with until the children go back in after playtime. So it's become more and more difficult for us.
Well, I asked you that because on here we've got just the, like 3 months, three months bank statement. I think that's what it says here. Just 3 months, that's why I said how long you've been.
If the council need full bank statements from day one, we can provide that.
Sorry?
If you need bank statements,
Well,
backdated,
usually
we've got,
they give bank statements, you know, what's in,
but if you need more than 3 months, we can supply those, it's not a problem.
okay, I just thought, because you've been going longer and it does something, it says here.
I think that was what
Okay,
we were asked.
That's what was required of us, so.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, members, thank you very much for your questions, and thank you very much indeed for coming along tonight.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to note, if we're on 12B, that the Environment Plan Committee is meeting held on the 14th of April 2026, resolved to recommend to full council that a grant of £27,078.05 be approved. We're now going to consider under item point C the application having regards to Community Infrastructure Levy Regulations 2010. So at this point, before we go on to the resolution, would any members like to say anything? Councillor Newmark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the team for a really insightful presentation. I always think that it's sad that we need charities like yours in this day and age, but you do fulfil such an important role, particularly in the areas of multiple deprivation around Cowley Hill, which I represent. And Mr. Mayor, I'm fully supportive of this important SIL bid, but in terms of ensuring that we're compliant with all of the best value guidance and so on that this council has to operate under. Obviously, I'm also very pleased to support Councillor Smith in her approaches to the borough to ensure that the charity could have use of the pavilion in Brookmeadow Park. Obviously, the use of that facility is currently on a rolling licence agreement with a 2-month break clause. So what I just want to do is to ensure the town council is not exposed to a situation where we make a grant for almost £30,000. The works are done and the effort is put into refurbishing the facilities to a really great standard, and then for whatever reason the council exercises that break clause and the facility is no longer available to the charity, but for whatever reason. I just think that we have to be cognizant of that risk. It certainly shouldn't prevent us from supporting this bid, but I think that as perhaps an amendment or a caveat to the resolution, to ask the clerk to ensure that efforts are made to extend the length of that licence agreement to a year or more, so that we can be certain that we're getting a decent amount of value from that £27,500 of public funds. I think if there's even a risk that that would only provide 2 months' value, we need to seek to mitigate that as custodians of those public funds.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Newmark, for that comment. We've got 2 more members who wanted to speak, so I think well, if we hear them first, and then,
Well, I just
We'll
need
move
directly
to
to
the
respond to that, it's a direct response.
I was going to go to Councillor Alexander on this.
Okay.
I don't mind.
Okay, go on, Councillor Smith.
I spoke to Ian Kershaw, who then in turn spoke to Andrew Don today, and he messaged me confirming that the lease will be amended to have a break clause, so 6 months' notice will need to be given after 2 years from the amendment date as well, and it's been confirmed by Ian Kershaw, he will be sending it across.
Councillor Alexander?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you for that presentation, which I think I was very, very moved by that. It's really sad that so many thousands of people are needing this support, but the fact is they do need it. And that leads me to my question, really, given how many thousands of people are using this facility. It's requested 62,940. I just worry that we're actually shortchanging by not being able to give them more. Is there any way we can find some more funds to give them?
Well, I think they applied for it. I think they applied for 60,000, but part of it was an external bid that didn't have planning permission yet. So we could only actually consider the internal works, which is 27,000. I believe that is that correct?
That's correct. It's 20, we've applied for the 32,000, which was the works, 27,000 was theoretically granted to do the extension that we need on the site to enlarge the premises in line with what the council have asked us to do, rather than put our container there. That is another £30,000.
Yeah, so can I have it does say in the documentation amounts of still funding requested is 62,940, or any proportion thereof. So I just wanted to clarify, what is actually being requested.
So the request is the recommendation from Environment Planning Committee, which was for 27,000 and something requested before. Is it the clerk clarify?
If I can clarify, the works are in 2 stages. So this is for the first stage. The second stage requires planning permission, so that's not for consideration now, but it can come back at another time.
Okay, so we've got I believe we've got a proposed amendment from Councillor Newmark. And I know that Councillor Smith, you said that it is going to be okay with the extended break clause, but I understand we'll need that formally. So what I'm going to propose is that we resolve to support the sealed bid subject to the extended break clause, having that officially sent to us from the Borough Council. Yeah, so that's the resolution. All of those in favour? Oh, sorry, let me count again. Put your hands up high.
Right, so I'm in favour of it, I'm not in favour of why we need all this breakers. I think we should just approve this.
Okay, so, okay. Alright, so fine. What we'll do, we'll vote on this resolution here. I don't think there's any point going to resolution without the breakdown. Yeah. Okay, so you might want to, well, I can say what you might want to do, but if you didn't want to vote against, you have the option of abstaining, as you know.
Okay, so Ron's not going to be another vote now, is it?
No, it's not enough. Okay. Right, so just one more time, because I do apologise. Put your hands up, thank you. So that's all 11 minus 2 hands. Interest. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
P6.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to point 3, which is the application from Bournemouth Football Club. And this is to, first of all, to note that there was a full application supporting documentation. It's attached to the Environment Planning Committee agenda for February 2026. We are due now to receive a presentation from the applicant a maximum of 10 minutes if you could. And then again, like we did before, if anyone has any questions, I'm sure Tony would be happy to answer, but please go through myself.
Good evening, councillors and officers. My name's Danny Hunter. I'm the chairman of Bournemouth Football Club. To give you a little bit of its history, it was formed in 1948, just after the war, with the troops coming home from Berlin and across Europe. And it was formed between Royal Retinue and Bourne Rovers, and Bournemouth was formed on the BBC site, as you all know, at Eldon Avenue. 63, we went across to an old landfill site, which is where we are now, Ruffins Road. So if you ever see the pitch getting done, you'll see us pulling out prams and all manner of things, even now. I arrived at the club. My father managed there in the 60s and 70s. I played for it in the 80s, and I purchased it in the 90s. When I purchased it, it was on life support. We had crowds of 100. I mean, there's people in this room who bear witness to that. As I often say, we had one man in this dog, and we had to shut the gates to stop the dog bleeding. From that moment on, as I say, it never sat in the heart of its community, it's gone. We set about changing that. In fact, Richard Butler's father, Ernie, Jean and Martin Hayward, and a lot of the people down at the Bournemouth Times. I think Frank Ward was the old leader back then. I could tell you all that, you know, as I say, I'm a Bournemouth boy. I've got 5 kids, 18 grandchildren. We've got many parks around it. That's probably where our crowds have gone up. But it was really important. It used to be the hub of the town. And in the end, when I took the club over, there was only the studio left. We turned that round, we made it an integral part of the community. Our crowds now average over 1,200. We bring in third-party spend and secondary spend. We bring in over 3 million into the high street, into the parks, into the car parks. And our ward is socially deprived, as you know, the ward of Cowley. And I used to, you know, we work hard. We work hard on integration. We work hard on changing things. We've had amazing success on the pitch and off the pitch. Personally, I've spent tens of millions on the. It's not a facility I own. It's council owned. It's a council asset. So it's a bit like me owning the top floor of a local flat and calling it a penthouse. It's not really what it's about. The point was, I did well in the films. I had 4 Oscar nominations, and we won 1 for Shakespeare in Love in Design. And I could do a little bit more locally. As I say, we're a local family. I don't ever think I take a wage out. I see it as like 27 years of service to this town and to the residents of Ruffins Road and Roebuck and Meadow Road, Edoff Road, and everywhere where you go from Hartford Road or Leaming Road. We create third-party spend. So we're helping the retailers, we're helping the shopkeepers. You know, we hire the park. There's not much we don't do, whether we're dealing with dementia clubs or MenCap. The whole idea of what we do is to put something back. In those years, we've gone through the Spartan League, the Isthmian Leagues, the National South, and now we're in the EFL. We've just guaranteed 4th place. We're within 3 weeks, if luck goes our way, being a Football League club. And again, you know, I look back when we went into the National League, our crowds rose up to 500, and as I say, they're now 1,200. Again, if it's about inclusion, and as you said earlier, Mum, that there is a big Jewish contingent in Bournemouth and Elstree, and you'll see them, whether it's Hartswood or Yavin or everyone else. The crowds are 1,200, and I would say 30–40% of them are now Jewish supporters. They come home and away with us. And in this project, it's a £4 million project. And what we're asking for is an awful lot of money from the town council. In essence, if it's going to be staggered over 4 years and that you support this, it's 1% a year. And for that, there's benefits in every which way. Whether you fill the stands, it fills the car parks, it fills the retailers, it fills the high street. With the new changing room block, that's coming a little bit higher. I was hoping I could bring that in at 600,000. That's 1.2 million that side of it. I'm asking, as you know, for summer money from the council to support it. Anything that's not there, I'll underwrite it. I asked for support from Arsenal. I asked support from Aylesbury and Bournemouth Town Council, the Borough Council, the Football Foundation, EFL. And I put my hand in my pocket as I've done for 27 years. I hope you support it. There is no downside. I've looked at the Brook Road car park, I redesigned it. I sat there and spent my own money to do so that it dealt with single mothers, it dealt with people in their chairs, winning their kids in pushchairs to make sure they were safe. It dealt with St Teresa's School. It deals with all things in all areas, because that's what our town is. We know we're working class. We know what we are. And my ward of Cowley, does have social deprivation. And every single time I can change or do something for it, I'll do it. That's all I've got to say, really. So, any questions?
Thank you very much, Danny. Members, does anyone have any questions?
I have, thank you. And you know, I've got to speak on that, listen to that. Very big, that's done. Danny, it's not a question, it's what I would like to say a little bit about just a little bit about the club, how I feel, and ask if that's possible.
Because we are going to go to a resolution, then you can.
Okay, then that's okay. Then that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to know about the phasing you mentioned. Would it be over 4 years? Is that correct?
The bill will take place if we get agreement tonight. We'll begin the phase. We have a phase of phases 1, 2, and 3. I think we were talking about financial phasing. I think is your question. That's for you guys to decide. It's just something that was brought to my attention. So there is talking about phase payment over 4 years.
Thank you. Sorry, further question. Does the remaining funds, how you would, because you want to renovate this or improve the south stand, so how would you do the remaining funds?
I've already got approval from 400,000 from the Football Foundation. I'm very, very close to securing £1 million from Arsenal. I've already secured 1.65 million from the Borough Council. So everything's now in place. And what I said is, I need everybody's support. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is, I want to leave a legacy. I'm not getting any younger. These aren't afterlines anymore. And what I want to do is I want to finish the ground. We're an incredible little club. We're an incredible town. And I think we are that town. We're allowed to talk about our town in a certain way. It's a bit like one person kicks us, we all live. And that's how I feel about my club. That's how I feel about the park. Without going into it, we changed lives. When you, I don't know if any of you are mad football fans, you might have seen Illy Mann score a disallowed goal for Everton on Sunday against Liverpool. 3 years we developed him as a player. When I went to the World Cup with England in guitar, 2 of the players, Sorba Thomas, was playing for Wales against England, and Illy Mann was playing for Senegal. I've come through our tiny little club. again, when we look around, we bring local employment to the area. You know, you come on a match day, you'll see stewards, safety officers, people in the catering, people in the bars, all local people. They all need help. You know, it's hard, it's a hard life out there. And I come from that background. You know, I come from a working class background. You know, my grandmother was an Irish immigrant. My grandfather came down on a very famous Jarrah March for jobs. And again, I think we know a little bit about working class and how we were brought up. And I think we genuinely make a difference. We try every day to do so. And as I say, you know, I hope within the room you can see that 1% over 4 years may be a fantastic investment for the Warwick County, for Borehamwood, and that money comes back tenfold. It comes back in car park revenue. It comes back down with the retailers and down the high street. It comes in the hotels where teams stay overnight. It comes in so many different ways. And when we do well, you can feel it in the town. The energy that's brought is incredible. And you can see that when we went to Bournemouth and we knocked them out on a Sunday night. You know, we went to Goodison Park. We had an amazing season this year. As I say, we could be 3 weeks from a football league club. We've beaten West Ham in the National League Cup. It's been exciting. I've got to be honest, after 27 years, it's been the love of my life. And as I say, I'd like to finish the journey I started.
Any more questions from members about this proposal? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll move to what we were doing before.
Can I ask you a question on this?
On what is it
You were
procedural?
finding out the football,
Well,
or the councillors are doing more a council issue than Danny had this issue.
Yeah.
I'm full of appreciation for you, Danny. Full of appreciation. I said I appreciate the work that you've done. Your record says 1999 you started the whole show. Here in 2026, amazing journey. I have no issue about that. And that too for football, which everybody likes.
Kaza, I thought you said you had a question about,
The
we need
question
to go on to
council.
the point B.
We have two issues.
Yeah.
One, we are talking about money that we don't have in our books right now. Am I right?
But yeah, we're going to come to
Yes or
some
no?
minute.
Generally agree. This is what I understand. I was talking to people and talking to the union that we are talking about money that we don't have. We're talking about our future receivables. And we're talking about taking money from general reserves to.
Okay, can I suggest that, because your points are valid, but can I suggest that when we, just before we move to the results, we can have a discussion and you can raise your questions there.
We're going to have a discussion after this.
And answer it. Yeah, so I
I
think.
thought you go for voting in the first game.
No, because remember last time we did the same, so thank you.
Thanks.
Right, that's it.
It's going to be years.
Thank you. You will get a chance to. Thanks. Okay, members, so we're on to B. So this is to note that an application was reviewed by Environment Planning Committee on the 3rd of February 2026. It was resolved to refer to full council to consider an amended version of the application. So this is the important point in C. We will now consider an application for £200,000 that members you will have read, or I see everyone read the proposal, and yeah. So there was the application for page 53, and then the member proposal, which is the specifics, which is page 54 to 57. Can I take that all members have read that as well? Thank you. So we'll be taking these together, having regard for the Community Infrastructure Levy Regulations 2010 as amended. So I'm going to actually open the debate before we go to the results, and then I'm happy to take contributions after that. I think the first point I want to say, members, is that really this football club is a theatre where dreams happen, and it is a place that changes lives. And I can give you just a small anecdote from a couple of weeks ago when I was at a football match. It was last week against Hartlepool, and there was a young boy, probably about 6 or 7, who, it was his first ever match. He was neurodivergent, so I got speaking to his dad. And his dad said to me, after 10 minutes, he said he's not going to last more than a couple of minutes, he'll be off soon. Because I think he had ADHD as well, and he doesn't have a good attention span. Anyway, that kid was completely and utterly spellbound by what was going on around him. The people, everyone was friendly, everyone was talking to him, the football itself, obviously it helped that he did well that game. He stayed for the 90 minutes, and his dad was absolutely blown away. He said, I've never seen my kid like this before. So, you know, it's one of those ways that football, that Bournemouth, in my opinion, is somebody who's gone there, can change lives just through the matches. But members, I want to talk about the specific NCL proposal today, which I thought hard about. And obviously, in the member proposal, we're talking about the construction of state-of-the-art community changing rooms as part of the wider project of the stadium redevelopment and the South Stand. And if you think about what I'm going to talk a little bit about now is just how that in itself is going to bring benefits, I believe, to thousands of residents in Bournemouth, using Meadow Park every week, every month, and every year. So I'm sure we've all seen the splash park, the happy faces there, the happy kids that play there, sometimes the happy adults that throw themselves in. We've seen the tennis players in the park, we've seen hundreds of kids playing football, adults playing football in the Astro, we've seen joggers, we've seen people, you may have seen pace walkers, Councillor Cars, you may have seen people playing cricket there, I've seen people playing cricket in their whites. And at the moment, none of these people have anyone to change within the park itself. So it would strike me that there is definitely a need for those changing rooms and shower rooms that come with them. And it will be a permanent facility. My understanding is, from having read the proposal, that Bournemouth would maintain these for our community permanently. So, and they'll do this free of charge. You know, if they receive the funding and went ahead and built it, then that's the role they'll play for us. And that would, of course, encourage residents to engage in leisure facilities and sporting facilities, which is good for the health of our people. But of course, this would bring a wider contribution, in my opinion, to the wider project would bring a big contribution, and that's the stadium development itself that Danny was talking about. And I think if we think about the scale of what Bournemouth Football Club does for our town, I would say second perhaps only to our film and TV industry. No other organisation puts our town back nationally as much as this football club does. And Danny mentioned the employment opportunities, the support for charities like NENCAT, millions of pounds of social investment and spending in shops and businesses, and the great joy and pride that it brings to thousands of people, literally thousands of our local people over the course of the season. And in fact, I do remember the cup run. I was down in Bournemouth, I was up in Everton, and I've been to several away grounds watching Bournemouth as well. And the point is that every time we do well, whether you like football or not, I think almost every single one of our 45,000 residents in the town are very proud. And everyone's talking around the country when we won the National Cup. Or should I say, won the National Cup and lost the National Cup, which happened to me on the same night as a West Ham Bournemouth fan. People talking about our town all around the country. I do want to touch on the finances, because I know, Pastor Cars, you were going to talk about this, and you're quite welcome to in a moment, but I thought quite hard about these questions. And obviously this is a conversation that we can have, but I don't think there's much more financial risk to us in supporting this seal bid than there is in the other seal bids that have come before us as a council in the last 3 years since I've been a member here. First of all, we certainly wouldn't be touching our reserves anyway, and there was a little bit of confusion from 2 or 3 members about that. We definitely wouldn't be. So it doesn't replenish those, and actually we've worked hard as a council to replenish our investment and our reserves and our 2 investment accounts, and that we are once again on a firm financial footing. Is it affordable from seal? I think some members were asking that question, and I believe that the proposed seal amount, and we're going to talk about 50,000 a year over 4 years, definitely is. And this is, if you think about the average seal that we're getting every year, and we currently get 15% upside. and that's going to go up to 25% top slice once the neighbourhood plans carried out. Well, if there is, I can't see it, won't be, but anyway, let's assume that it is. That's up to 25%, and on average, even if the developments in the town stay as they are, we'll be getting in 100,000 a year from SIL. So we still have tens of thousands of pounds left over if we did support this bid in the way that we're planning. And actually, I think we only have to look at all of the developments that are going up around the town at the moment, the ones that have already been approved. So we've got 3 bigger housing developments at Auburn Hall, land to the south west of Farrell Avenue, the land of Barnet Lane, 74 properties of the land east of Hartfield Avenue, the retirement village on the Settles in Elstree Village, the industrial development opposite Auburn Reservoir. All of these have already been approved, so there will be still money coming in, and we're talking about a lot of money for those. And that doesn't even include any prospective applications that are currently in the system, or the sites in the local plan. If, in the unlikely event that one you didn't have enough still, we could send, for me anyway, consider using a small amount of precept. And as we know, an increase of 1% if absolutely necessary would only equate to 25 pence per resident. And I feel personally that would be a very welcome across the town, and people wouldn't be mind paying 25 pence for what they're getting back in terms of community changing rooms and the support for the club. So just to finish, we have to also remember, and this is put in the amendment proposal, that our annual sponsorship arrangement with Fulham Football Club of approximately 20,000 a year ends next year, and so that will effectively be absorbing 2/5 of the extras being requested by the club for the SIL application. So, like I say, of all our SIL bids that our committees and our full council have endorsed in the last 3 years, to me it seems that this is among those that would benefit the widest possible range and number of users, because we know how many people use Meadow Park on a regular basis. For me, it's relatively low risk, it's legally compliant, financially sound, and could bring huge benefits to our residents, to use of Meadow Park, and it could bring further pride in our football. So that's what I have to say. Would anyone else like to comment on this proposal? That's the panel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And obviously, of course, you chase me down the road, it doesn't matter, it's fine. And yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So, I do have some comments along your lines, and fully understand and support what Football Club do locally. There's no doubt about that in my mind, and I appreciate that. But I am going to raise some concerns, because at the end of the day, sorry, can you hear me all right, Sandra? I am going to raise some concerns that I have, and this is no attack on Football Club whatsoever, because actually when you look at the bid itself, most of this will improve our Hearts and Owned asset, which we've already heard tonight, and I will point out the fact that we did have facilities there which Hearts were obviously not down. They did need refurbing, they did need remodelising, but I don't understand. We have no money left in our SIL pot. You indicate about the money that we normally get over the year within SIL, and that's quite right, we do get some, but there's not a guarantee that the money's coming in. Over the 4 years, we're anticipating from the recommendation from the members here that have put that on the table tonight, that you plan to use SIL money before we've even got it. So it's identifying and saying we're going to allocate that money before we've even got it to a programme project. And again, I'm pointing out the fact that this is a Hearts of Owned asset, and I'll come to that in a minute. But that money that you're already spending, which you don't have, I have concerns about. When we know that we do get tripped up with other eventualities and issues that come our way. We've only just heard recently, and it was reported on at meetings, I can go into that, that 96 Shenley Road is under threat. A facility that is also used by the public. In many ways, that's the public library, the museum, youth connections, youth groups, drop-in centres, a warm hub, judo, leisure facilities, all throughout the day. We could lose that facility. So these are eventualities that come along our way where actually we need to step in as a council, which we have done in the past, and we need to be absolutely guarantee the public that we can protect an asset like that. When we talk about the use of the facility and Meadow Park and that, I'm not going to dispute any of that. What you said, Dan, you're absolutely right. You know, Meadow Park is very well used. Would an asset like this be well used by the public? Yes, it would be. I'm not going to deny that either. I do have concerns around money because at the end of the day, we are the custodians of the public purse. We are a small council compared to others. We do not have buckets of money like some councils, and we do need to be very clever in how we allocate our money. I think we have been, to be fair, and you're right. Again, Dan, to point out the fact that we've finally got our council back on firm footing. We're meant to keep at least 6 months running costs in our general reserves or general funds, which we currently have. So we've now hit that target. When we come to looking at spending money, as I say, we don't have it in Silport at the moment, I do feel uncomfortable with that. I wouldn't do that in my own finances at home. I wouldn't say, well, I might earn that money in a few months' time, so you know what, I'll just go and dip into my credit card and put myself an overdraft, because I'm probably guaranteeing to spend that money later on. Well, actually, I'm not guaranteed that money's coming in. We talk about the developments that's happening in Bournemouth. We know there's a lot of anger about some of that. I know we're going to have to develop Bournemouth as well, and we do need to see the infrastructure improve as and when those developments happen. However, with the market and the economy the way it is, and then at the moment with the war that's going on and everything like that, I don't think a developer will put a spade in the ground. They might have planning permission. It doesn't mean they're necessarily going to go ahead and actually build those properties yet, because it won't be financially prudent for those businesses either. So I'm not so confident as yourself to say that we are going to see all these developments happen over the next coming months and years. And I've already seen some of these developments being land banked and just sat there for years before spade goes in the ground. So I don't feel that confident. Do I think we should look at the presets in future? We've just set the council tax budget. We can't do that now. We can't go back to the public and say, hey, this is a great idea and we want to support it. Can we have some more money? That's just not possible. We can look at the preset moving forward into the future. So the only thing I can say tonight is I need evidence that you can find, I believe it's £50,000 this year, from a pot of money that does not impact our general funds, does not impact the risk that 96 Chenley Road could be lost, an asset that also benefits the community in a wide range. And I don't dispute, again, what the football club do, because in my eyes, the facility that they're building should be something that Hartsman should fully fund, because Hartsman removed the original facility in the first place. And I do have concerns about that, because ultimately it is their asset. So I do have some concerns. I listen to the debate and I will make my vote as and when. But again, I congratulate the football club. I wish you every success, but that's where I'm coming from. And that's no disrespect to you or the football club. Thank you.
Things come out. Well, I think
I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I listened to you, Rich. I listened to you, Mr. Mayor, and also to you, Richard. I think that's a very narrow view of looking at things at this moment, but that's obviously I'm entitled to my opinion as well. However, I think, I believe it's one part of this, your thoughts, Richard, are because you're not a football fan please just let me say, and you can say I'm wrong, but just please let me just try and explain to you how I feel about people that are not really interested. Thank you. I'm not insulting you, Richard, honestly.
Just to say, I don't think we should make assumptions about everyone. But carry on.
Okay. It's not what, I'm not about to touch this.
Because he's unplugged it, it's not.
No,
Try again,
but-
try again.
It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. I can make my vote.
Thank you.
Okay, it's working now. Okay, thank you. Okay, so Bournemouth Football Club. When people, it's just, I'm not speaking about the money, and I'm just speaking about the overall, how it is with residents and the people of Bournemouth. When it's a home game, when the town is buzzing, there's no doubt about it. It does the town unbelievably that they benefit from it. The residents benefit from it. What you get out of going to a football match is a feeling of belonging to Boreham Wood. It's, if I could just explain the feeling that I see around me and myself and the people I see around, it's, the benefit is extraordinary how you feel just sitting for 2 hours watching a football and being with people if you're on your own. This is just one thing. A lot of people, it's an older town and there's a lot of people on there. Honestly, I think this football club has made people's lives, well, 150% better. Not just me, and it's not just because I know Danny and I know the people there. It's because I've got to know people in the club and I've made friends there. This is so important to this town. The charitable arm of it as well. Boys clubs, dementia club, MACAP, all the things that the Boreham Football Club donate to and help is the backbone of this town. And we can't just look at it and say it's not in our interest to do this, because it is in our interest to do this. Because I see it around me, and this is, I think maybe because I'm on my own, and I mean, not always been on my own, but since no, really, this is part of how I feel about this club. It's made you part of this town, and people think like this. You see the men there and the women there. They are absolutely taken with this club. Honestly, not just because I'm a football fan. Honestly, it isn't. It's from my heart I'm saying this. It makes you feel part of this town. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Would anyone else like to speak? Just in an just because it's a party, I'm going to try and I did actually see who's first. So I'm open to you.
Sorry, I have no issues with supporting the football club. I think it's a great cause. I also live on Cheney Road, so I hear all the buzz that happens at each football event that takes place, and everyone's buzzing. I can see that. But the problem is, I don't think as a council we're cash rich. And just looking at like past trends, we've never made it close to 100k in sub funds. Or maybe you can tell me.
But that's my own projected figures were based upon the previous years, and also on the fact that we should have our top slice increased, assuming that if the neighbourhood plan goes ahead.
So in terms of like the past 5 years, for example, do you know how much we've had in terms of sub funds?
I'm happy to answer. I can go in reverse date order. So our SIL income, October 25, we received £29,259.68. May 2025, £39,760.95. November 2024, 33,275. April 24, 7,533. The year before, so the November 60,349, and in the April 104,000. So we have had the lowest ever received was 2,250, but that was back in 2017. The highest was the 104,000, and we receive a payment every 6 months. So for the last 3, it's been 33, 39, 29.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it will go up. Right, so Councillor Ruby was next.
So I am a football fan, despite being on Suffolk Tottenham supporter. I will say that I was walking down Shelley Road with a smile on my face after Arsenal ladies got knocked out by Brighton in the FA Cup. I did notice that the amount of people going into shops on the way home, they came out of the club, so going to shops, spending money downtown because they all walked towards the station. So therefore I feel that by developing the stand, it will do wonders for retail in the town. The football club hopefully will be in the football league, and hopefully the top of the playboard will be in the Premier League, not anywhere else. But I do worry about the silver funding. I'm not so sure that the member being able to plan will go through. It's incredibly unpopular. And even if it does go through, as Councillor Butler said, we're not guaranteed that it will be good. When I joined the council 14 years ago initially, we were talking about the Elstree Way corridor. Well, you walk down the Elstree Way corridor 14 years later, most of it hasn't been built. And so therefore we're relying on funds that we don't have, as Councillor Butler said. So therefore I propose that we approve the SIL funding on condition that we get a minimum amount of money in SIL funding so that we can afford to fund the football club and possibly 96 Chain Road, which is a project that was, when I joined the council, which was being dealt with as well, a really, really important asset within our town. So that if we don't get the money, the football club don't get the money, but if we do get the money, they will get the money. We cannot give away money that we haven't got.
Okay, I did see Councillor Carr's first and then Councillor Newmark. Sorry, yeah, you did. So it's Councillor Carr's, Councillor Alexander, Councillor Newmark.
Thank you. I have the same issue that most people here have, that we can't give money from our future receivables, money that we don't have in our pocket. And SIL fund cannot be run like an overdraft account. We cannot take money from general reserves and put money in SIL and give it out. However great the requirement might be, that's a different issue. How much happiness it gives, yes. I watched about 25 football matches in Emirates, Arsenal. This was the record. I'm not showing off, sorry. That's why we accused of not being happy with the football. Having enough football matches to know how much of happiness football generates, or what emotion it arouses. No issue with that. But as a banker, I don't think we can mortgage the balance sheet of this town council when we don't know who's going to be in authority next time, and say that in future, till it reaches the peak of 200, that the money is already mortgaged past 6 years, and no other person in our STN Boromur can make any claim to SIL funds in the future, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever time period it takes. And the unitary council coming up, we don't even know whether we continue to get our SIL funds or not, or what the structure will be. We might get more, I'm not saying no. We may not get anything at all. How things will be, we don't know what the shape, what a relationship will be between the towns and the parishes with the unitary, we do not know. And above all, construction of this kind of thing for the football club, which is almost single person owned, is not in our remit. It's not an authority that has been given to any one of us to construct things like this. That's why I said, silly, yes, but not for single person owned. Like you said, for a food bank, yes, we can construct something for a food bank. We can construct something on the streets. We can construct, but it cannot be for the benefit of a particular company. We can't have that. 1, 2, like I said, we cannot charge them. Mortgage business is always there. Future receivables, no. That too, indefinite period, I leave it to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Carza. My own view is that as I mentioned in what I said before, that this actually would be fine for SIL, because it's about the development of a community changing room for the benefit of our residents, and there's not going to be any profit made from residents using changing rooms for free. So I don't agree with you particularly. Councillor Alexander and then continue on.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm also incredibly supportive of the football club, and clearly, it brings a lot of delight to people here, and well done for that. But at the same time, I've agonised over the last few days because it is a lot of money, and I do feel it's money we don't have. And I do share the concerns that have been made by colleagues in the last few minutes. As colleagues have said, there's no guarantee we are going to get £50,000 of SIL annually. Certainly a risk we don't. and we end up having to borrow from our reserves. And even if we do just about get that 50,000, that means we're spending all our sum money then on this, so there'll be no money left to give to anything else. That would mean over the next few years. We're in a cost of living crisis. We just heard from residents here who are in front of the food bank, rising food poverty, and that's only going to get worse with inflation rising. You can see that we're going to need even more. Unfortunately, it's very sad, we're going to need even more support to organisations like that. And I think to make that impossible, because as Councillor Goss said, we're mortgaging upfront funding already. You know, I think that would be a very, very sad state of affairs were we to do that. And even if the developments do happen, I think that's only going to exacerbate the infrastructure deficit that we already have. We're already behind in terms of the infrastructure that we need for this town, traffic congestion and food poverty and all those things that go with it. And the need for all those things is only going to go up actually if more developments come in. So yes, we might get more still money, but that's needed for the infrastructure that those additional people bring to the table.
There's no infrastructure in this town.
Well, there you go. So
But there won't be either.
well, there's my point. Thank you.
So I saw Councillor Newmark next and then Councillor Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, as the author of the proposal in front of us, which I put together in order to try and expedite the logjam that appeared to have emerged in actually getting this to a point where the council was able to make a decision rather than be stuck in paralysis. I did want to make some general remarks, which I hope you'll allow me to make later in the debate, because I wanted to use this contribution to address the financial points that have been put forward. And Councillor Garza is a talented banker. Councillor Graham is, Councillor Alexander is a talented actuary at the Bank of England. But when it comes to business sense and obtaining best value from the public purse, those aren't quite the same things. And I think we've seen that difference emerge in the way that different people have chosen to look at the finances of this evening. But I want to suggest a slightly different paradigm. And I think, first of all, as Councillor Azzaro, Mayor, has pointed out, the net impact of the £50,000 per year projected payments on our annual revenue budget as the council is actually only 37.5k, because we need to net off the 17.5 that we're currently already paying to the football club on an annual basis as part of our sponsorship agreement. So the actual income, the actual impact upon the council's bottom line each year at the current level of precept is 38k, not 50k. Now, Councillor Butler, I think rightly and appropriately set us the challenge of saying, for instance, in the current financial year, how would we secure the 50k if it didn't arrive through SIL receipts? Well, I don't like doing back of the envelope calculations at meetings, but the answer is relatively easy and relatively clear in this instance, because our actual SIL accounts, which none of the other people speaking about finances have alluded to yet, which is slightly odd if they want to talk about our SIL position, but our actual SIL accounts show that we have a significant amount of SIL money that is allocated and yet unspent, and has been unspent for quite some time. For instance, £38,000, which is being held unallocated for a potential extension of the Beryl Bike scheme that is exceedingly unlikely to happen at any point in the near future. Now, I would submit that having £38,000 allocated SIL unspent, sitting in the council's coffers, earning a relatively measly rate of interest, is probably not great value for the public purse. So if we were in a worst case scenario to allocate that £38,500, it would leave us with £12,000 to make the 50k commitment in year one that Councillor Butler has challenged us to address. Now, you might take the view that given the fantastic success and expansion of activity at this town council, the growth of the market into a new larger venue, the new income stream that we'll be receiving through the CIC from the New Elstree Immersive Experience from December of this calendar year, it would be a relatively conservative estimate that we might raise an additional surplus £12,000 by doing nothing extra. But of course, as councillors, we also have responsibilities and agency in this, and there are multiple ways through sponsorship initiatives and commercial initiatives that we are meant to take shared responsibility for driving income to this council. And you can shake your head, Councillor Rubner, but if people feel that it's beyond our wherewithal and the group of talented people in this room to plug that £12,000 gap, then it's a very sorry state of affairs indeed. Politics, even local politics, is about making choices, and I think that we can make a financial choice that says we can meet any potential deficits, as Councillor Butler has challenged us to do so in year one. Even if we can't, we've also allocated in this year's budget £40,000 for consultancy support in relation to local government reorganisation. That equates to £3,300 spend per month. Well, we're in month one of the financial year and we've not spent anything, and we've not taken a decision, nor are we in a position to decide to incur any additional expenditure from that budget heading in months 2 and 3. And 3 months worth of £3,300 actually equates to £12,000. So, I do not think we need to have any great concerns or angst about meeting Councillor Butler's year one challenge. And I accept the points that have been made about 96 Shenley Road, but I think it's really problematic to play off one piece of public value and one public asset against another. And, wearing my borough council hat, I'm the person in this room that has probably done most over the past few weeks to secure the future of 96 Shenley Road. And let me tell you, the issue is not money, it's political will. 96 Shenley Road lease is effectively being given away by the county council to a new operator for nothing. If the town council wants to step in and try and save the current public use of that building, it's not going to be a question of needing the money to do it, it's going to be a case of shifting the political will of the current leadership of the county council. So let's not play Bournemouth Football Club against 96 Shenley Road. Let's cut to the chase here and look at the basic business economic proposition in front of us, the opportunity being presented to us as councillors today. A £1.2 million state-of-the-art building in a public park, in a public asset, for £200,000 of our own funding. That is a net gain in public value of £1 million. Take a moment to think about that. The opportunity that we are being given as a council is to effectively leverage our SIL funding to deliver an additional £1 million in value for local people in this town. Are we really going to say that we don't have the wherewithal and the leadership to take on that challenge and ensure that local people benefit from that additional value? That's my perspective on the finances of this piece, but I would like to come back into the debate towards the end.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mark. Actually, I think some of the things, this is only my opinion, but some of the things that you said about the reality of our financial is actually a bit of a game changer in this debate for me. I was already convinced anyway, but they're very useful points that you've made. Would any other members like to speak? Oh, yeah, Councillor Taylor.
Very simple. Can I ask the clerk a question, please? Is it legal for us to commit to money that we don't have?
Okay, so the two legal questions in this is in terms of lawfulness, this application is a lawful application. So the power to spend the money falls within the SIL regulations. The general power of competence supports the council in entering into agreements and structuring delivery. So the general power of competence does allow the council to structure a delivery of this form if council is minded to do so. I would say my role is to make sure that there is compliance. It's up to members to decide whether to do it or not, but yes, it can be done.
Mr. Mayor, can I just say one thing?
Please.
I wonder if all the councillors have read this proposal back from Councillor Newmark in depth. Have you actually read it? You've actually read it all? Okay.
Members, do we have any other questions or contributions?
Sorry, just a further question about Councillor Newmark's statement here that says the sponsorship will end. So the 20p sponsorship will end. Will that mean then, like obviously still we'll just keep the whole 50k? What will happen to the sponsorship money? It's in a different pot, right?
No, I think his point was, I don't know, speak for him, but, well, maybe, Jeremy, do you want to answer that?
Sponsorship does it, sponsorship has an expiry date.
It's next year.
Just a further point for myself, I'm just very concerned that we won't have funds in the future. 4 years is a long time. I know Councillor Newmark has said where the money will come from in the first year, but second, third, I'm not sure where it will stand. And also, which sort of, who would come forward, like WD6 might need to come forward for their remaining infrastructure proposal, other charities, other infrastructure that might be required in Bournemouth, and we'll just have to say no to every single one of them. And that's just my concern. I mean, I'm not saying I don't support this at all, it's a lot of money.
So, what my own answer to you would be, in my own speech, I mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 current applications that have been approved. Spades are in the ground, we're about to be processed. So, for example, the industrial units, spades are going into the ground as we speak. So there will be huge risks. So I think nothing is that for us not to have any extra seal in any 1 year, and we've already spoken about possibilities potentially using precept as well to make up some of the funding, there'd have to be a 50% cut in the amount of housing in any 1 year that's being produced here. I don't think anyone realistically, given how much housing is going on at the moment and national government targets and so on, it's just, for me, it seems to be, it's interesting some different perspectives, but it seems so certain that there's going to be more housing because there's current developments, approved developments, those speculative applications, the local plan, and so on. So that's what I do. Councillor Chalice.
Mr. Mayor, if I may ask a question by you, and the question is, does it look like that perhaps Danny Hunter would like to say something on something? Because I did just see some movement over there, I wasn't sure if that's what they were indicating, but obviously I'm asking this for you to ask them, and if I'm putting members of the audience on the spot, and they didn't want to say anything, then I'm very sorry if I've insulted anyone in any way.
Am I allowed to?
I think I've got that power.
You do? Wow.
Which is why I addressed it to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So power, please, Danny.
I think I just want to clarify for everybody. I understand if the money's not there, but like Jeremy said, if it is a no, and I accept that, we just don't build it and I save $1 million. That's a decision you've got to make. If you want the kids not to get changed, this is like you say, this is public money. I'm bringing 4 million to it, and you've got to find 1%. Over 4 years, because I realised things were tight. But if it's not, when I leave here tonight, my 18 grandchildren and my 5 kids have got an extra £1 million. You either want to nick me £1 million and do what I would consider to be the right thing, or we can play and if you haven't got it, I get it. I promise you I've been here 27 years. I try and fight the good fight. If it's not there, I totally accept it. I wipe my mouth, I move on. But you don't get what you're not prepared to have. So if you want to give £1 million away, give it away. I don't have to do that. I do it because I put my hand in my pocket. I've spent tens of millions of pounds, and you can either accept it or not. But 50,000 a year for 4 years on a £4 million project, everyone remember, I bring £3 million into that town every year. What else does it other than the studio? So they're the decisions when you're sitting there. I understand you're a banker. You should know more than anybody. But that's the point. You can bring it in. If I sound a bit breathless, sorry, I've got a bit of a chest. But they're the decisions. And I promise you, I won't think ill of anybody. I've been around here a long, long time. And if I lose the battle, that's fine. But we shut that bit down and it's gone. I think my working class kids deserve to have a change in them. That's really all. But to understand, if we don't do the overall project, when you're all loving Arsenal women and the crowds, they're gone. Because we can't support the European games. In 3 weeks, if I can't build the stadium and go above 5,000, we can't go to the Football League. So we'll announce to the town, I'll reduce the budget, and we can't go there. They're the decisions you've really got to make. Because all this, I know it's, pounds, shillings and pence and everything. I said, get that. And I know you've got to answer. I wouldn't want to take anything away from the ladies with a food bank. They'll probably come to me at a bit of sponsorship tomorrow, I would think. But the truth is, we look after everyone in the town. And understand, 27 years I've given service to this town. I worked with your dad. So your dad would have been on my doorstep telling me to fight you every step of the way, because that's what he was like. Him and the Haywoods, they were my ward councillors. The only way you get people on the ward spending in Hartford Road and in Leaning Road is through me. You don't get third party spend anywhere else, Rich. They need to like football to understand how much they spend. And an independent audit on what we do to show that we do more than we actually think we do.
Then if you could just wrap up.
All right, thank you very much. I'll wrap up.
Thank you very much. So I will pass on to Councillor Cards and then Councillor Newmark. But, again, just reflecting on what's been said, for me, this is a tremendous opportunity for our children. Remember the first thing I mentioned in the speech after that little boy in the stadium, the neurodiverse kid, he suddenly gained confidence to sit in a ground for an entire match because of the power of our football club. The first thing I said after that was all the children in the park, in the splash park, and the children playing football. They need something to change. They need, I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't use Meadow Park because there aren't any changing facilities. And so it strikes me to be a magnanimous offer for us to take advantage of. And, it's a business opportunity for us if we're thinking business terms for me. Councillor Carson.
Yeah, that my bankership has been recognized by the political stance. God forbid, and I'm sure God will definitely forbid, but if some other group or some other party come to power, they'll feel that we left them with a black hole of sorts amount. I think we need to avoid that. Thank you.
Councillor Newmark.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, earlier Councillor Butler quite rightly said we're custodians of the public purse, and I understand that sense of responsibility that custodianship creates does make people nervous when it comes to significant financial decisions. But we're not expected to act as custodians of SIL funds in isolation. in fact, the legislation around how we should utilise our civil funds is absolutely clear. It gives us stark guidance about what we're meant to do with that money. That money is not part of the town council's budget to use for town council activities. Still exists, I'm quoting from the introduction to the guidance and the legislation, to unlock locally rooted investments. And there couldn't be an better example of unlocking locally rooted investment to the tune of £1 million than this. But, you know, everybody's rightly said that under Danny's leadership, the football club brings so much pride to our town. It's a true community institution, and it has that towering civic presence, perhaps more so than any other local institution I can think of. And it's true, you know, I commissioned the independent social value audit on behalf of the Borough Council, and you know, it did come back and say that actually the figures in third-party spend and so on that the social value accountant examined are probably significantly lower, as quoted by the club, than the reality. And then layer on top of that, Danny's own leadership and philanthropy for the area, and perhaps think about taking a page out of that book of leadership. Perhaps think about taking a lesson about the kind of courage that's needed and the kind of leadership that's needed to get things done and make things happen and ensure that the working people of Boreham Wood can get the kind of facilities that visionary leaders deliver in other places on a regular basis by taking decisions just like this. You know, put to one side everything the football club does for local pride and local cohesion and local inclusion, because tonight the decision we're being asked to make actually shouldn't rely on any of those attributes. Being asked to make actually a cold, hard, economic, public value business decision, and the numbers could not be clearer. We have an imperative to use our money, to use our CIL funds to deliver uplifts in public benefit, and we have an opportunity tonight to satisfy that public sector best value duty, which I know is the reason, whatever our politics, we all stood for office to achieve. And this bid, in the way it isolates our funds specifically to be spent on free changing room facilities for local kids and local families in a local park, enable us to bring that new facility to the local public and to those working families. I think that leveraging, again, 200k to bring new value of £1 million is probably one of the most significant things this town council has done or has had the opportunity to do for a generation. And we're really going to turn that down because we don't have the fortitude between us as a bunch of local leaders to say, okay, you know, if we have to go out there and lead this council in a way that we generate the extra income to, you know, fill that £12,000 gap per year, or perhaps even exceed it so we can continue to support other projects as well, then I don't think we're worthy of calling ourselves local leaders. So look, let's grasp this opportunity to get that extra £1 million of value into our town. Whether or not football matters to us, you know, more to some of us, less so to others, that's not what tonight's about. It's about uniting around getting some value for our community. These opportunities rarely come up around here. They come up even less rarely for the residents of the Cowley Hill ward. Let's grasp the opportunity, and then if we need to do some work to plug the financial gap, let's collectively commit to do that work rather than stand by and whinge and worry about the fact that we might have to take personal responsibility for doing the work, to bring in the sponsorship, or actually what will in reality be to put our heads together and do the financial exercise to rejig our budget in really what is not a desperately meaningful way when you look at the numbers. But let's not throw this opportunity away, because it's here, it's time limited, because the development work has to start in line with football season and other works in the park. We won't get another opportunity to do this, and local people won't forgive us for throwing away £1 million of value that could come their way.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mark. I am going to move to the vote now, because I will be spending a long time on this, and we've only got 25 minutes for the rest of the agenda. So we are going to move to a vote, and this is, the proposition is to fund the seal bid spread across 4 years as per the proposal. I'm going to propose this as Mayor. Do I have a seconder, please?
Yes.
So, Councillor Parnell, thank you very much. So I'm going to take those votes in favour. All of us in favour, please put your hands up. Six. I am going to take against and abstentions. So all of those against? Six. And abstentions? I believe I have to cast some votes, and I'm voting in favour. So that motion is carried. That motion is carried. Thank you very much, members. So, thank you very much, Danny. Thank you very much.
Can I thank you all, and I agree that I've learnt a lot tonight. Thank you all.
You take care. Thank you very much. Thank you, WD6. Members of the public, you are welcome to stay. You are welcome to stay, but you can go. Yeah, we all want to go, don't we? That. Okay. All right. So we're going to just rush through. Extend it potentially. Yeah. All right. But we will try and rush through now. So we're going back to point 7. So year-end governance, note the year-end timetable as tabled. Agreed, noted. Point 8 on policies, to adopt the following policies. If anyone have any points to make for each, I'm going to read them one at a time. So the first policy is health and safety policy. Is everyone okay with that? Agreed. The second policy is the fire risk assessment. Clark has a point to make.
If I just may update everyone, the outstanding actions that were listed were completed today.
Thank you very much for your work on that. And the asset register, point 3. Does everyone agree with that? Sorry, adopt, yeah. Asset register agreed? Thank you very much. Okay, so point 9. There are quite a few actions from the previous.
Yeah, sorry, as you say, point 9. So there for you. Item 4 on your list of your list here. I will be declaring personal interest and so forth, and I will be executing rules.
Thank you. Sorry, Karen.
Yeah, I also declare personal interest as a receiver.
Noted by the clerk, yeah. Okay. So point 1, St Nicholas School, to receive an update. Members, you may be aware that unfortunately the County Council met today, and unfortunately they did approve closure. So this is the final time that the Cabinet has met, and the final time to discuss it. That decision is now subject to a 1-week review period.
So Mayor, can I interject, please? I mean, please, can I leave because of some pressing family issue?
Oh, so did you say?
Yeah, I
go
want
on.
you to leave it.
Oh, you need to leave, of course.
Pressing family issue.
I hope everything's okay, please. Thank you. Okay, so County Council has approved closure. There is a period up until the 30th of April where they're just reviewing one last time with officers about the implications of that decision. So we won't know the final decision until the 30th of April. Therefore, although we have received legal advice, as I'm sure members are aware, we can't actually do anything until we've got the final decision through on April the 30th. At that point, we will need to meet again as a finished group to discuss what we're going to do next, the next step. If anyone, so in that sense, to consider resolving further action, there's no further action until that decision takes place next week, at which point we'll probably call a task and finish group. Members may like to hear the BBC interview that I did on the radio this morning about the closure and some Okay, so moving on to point 2, that's UK Town Culture Expression of Interest. This notice to note in pages 31 to 43 of the papers, the expression of interest. I wanted to thank, in particular, Councillor Newmark and those who put the bit together. So EOI not big, and the effort they put into that. There is one approval that we need to make, which is for payment of £1,500 for the submission consultant. Is that okay with everyone? Yeah. Thank you. Is everyone in favour? Put your hands up. Anyone against? That's approved. Just to say very quickly that we're expecting the next round to find out if we've reached stage 2 of the bid process. It says by the end of the spring. So one would imagine the next 4 weeks at most, and then the exciting news will come if we reach the next round or not. Point 3, International Affairs Subcommittee to consider and resolve a request for expenditure of £5,368.50 for Sharon Town Twin Tennis Visit Accommodation. Is that all agreed? Agreed. Thank you, members. Before I'm going to ask the 2 members with interest to leave. Editors. Thank you. Thanks. Paul, can I just ask when the item's over, I might give you a wink if you just get me.
Yeah, sweet.
That's thank you. Okay, so this is point 4, Community Transport Community Safety Forum. You'll see a verbal update from the Mayor on Shelley Road scaffolding complaints. So members will be aware, more than aware, when you walk down Shelley Road, there's loads of scaffolding up, about halfway down High Street between Clarendon Road, stretching for about 50 metres past Peacocks, almost up towards where Nando's is. So it's taken up quite a lot of road, it goes out to the pavement, and members may be aware from the discussion that we had at the Community Safety and Transport Forum, Transport and Safety Forum, that members of the public came along, expressed their concern. I've already expressed my concerns publicly dating back as far as December, when I did a public awareness video on this, when I started to campaign against the problems that scaffolding is causing. I'm sure some of you may have received kind of mail from residents I certainly have about the disruption that it's causing, about the accidents. I've heard so many stories of residents who've been injured on that scaffolding. Now we have to be aware that the scaffolding is there for a reason, it's to keep the public safe, and because I understand there was falling tiles from the roof, and some emergency works were done back in, I think, August last year. But I think the questions are, why has it been left up so long, and why can't it come down? Anyway, the clerk wrote to the county council to try to determine the conditions of the licence. This is back in February as a result of the forum discussion. There wasn't any response, so I took the opportunity when the cabinet member from Hertfordshire County Council for Highways was here, Stephen Medhurst, Giles Medhurst, and one of his officers, when we were discussing the potholes petition that I'd started and had worked about 1,300 petitioners now, and we discussed that, and they went back to look at the licensing conditions, and what they told me was that their licence expired in February, they applied for a renewal, that's been granted until the end of August. What we're not really too clear about is why it's taking so long for the scaffolding to be removed, when the next when the final bit of work is going to be done. And by the way, I would say that I've spoken to a lot of people in the last few days, leaseholders, businesses down below the scaffolding that are losing custom, residents I was speaking to a client and safety group last week, and the residents there were saying they don't even go to Shenley Road anymore because they can't navigate the scaffolding and find it hard. I've had residents sending videos of people that have tripped over on the wooden planks at the bottom. There was a woman on Facebook who said that in her mobility scooter she actually tipped over. I mean, it's clear that this is causing, in my mind anyway, health risks as well as because we balanced up. Clearly, the scaffolding was there for a good reason, but the question is, does it need to be left there for so long? So, what I'm proposing as an action from this is that, and this is the resolved on B, that the chair of the Transport Community Safety Forum, together with the clerk, write a letter to the owners, just outlining some of the issues that have arisen amongst the public, because they may not be aware. I think it's important to make them aware, but also most importantly to find out from them when they intend to finish the works and get the scaffolding removed. And then I think we've done our job as a town council to try and, at least find out the fact-finding information. So that's my proposal. Could everyone second that, please? Councillor Newmark? Okay, all in favour? Thank you, members, I appreciate that. So, Prabhakar and Julian will get together and write the letter. That's great, thank you. Okay, so the neighbourhood plan, to receive an update on the plan and the progress of those stream board. Oh, sorry. Okay, thanks. Sorry. Let's give you the week.
And you.
Okay, so welcome back. Okay, so we've got neighbourhood plan to receive an update on progress of forward neighbourhood plan. And this has been tabled in your agenda papers, and I think for the sake of time, we're assuming that everyone's ready. So there's no need to do any of all reports. But we are considering a proposal for public information leaflet to explain the purpose and status of the neighbourhood plan, clarify the distinction between the neighbourhood plan and the local plan, which is clearly a very important distinction to make because they're two different documents and it's saying different things and for different purposes. Providing residents with factual information ahead of the referendum process. And so that was, is that just to note, to consider?
Yeah, no, the next one is to resolve the budget.
So the resolve then is to approve a budget of up to £3,000 for design, printing and distribution of this leaflet. Do I have a proposer? Councillor Butler? Could you leave the plans to Councillor Carter? Okay, all those in favour? Thank you, members. So we want to point 6, which is the Climate and Ecology Action Subcommittee, receiving an update from myself on the Earth Day event. So I'll do that very quickly. I get very excited about this, so I'm not going for 2 minutes and 1 second. But first of all, I just wanted to thank Councillor Chalice for kicking this all off with the pack which she sent out to schools and to get their interest, and it actually worked because we had the vast majority of primary schools in the town taking part in this. It's a project that we partner with Gratitude on and Garden on a Roll, which is plant business. And basically what's happened is we've sent out this kind of resource pack to local schools, encouraging them to take part in Earth Day, talking to them about a little bit about the town council's role in it and what we've done for the environment, encouraging the children themselves with their teachers to decide what actions they want to take. So we're not telling them what to do, we're asking them to come up with ideas, and goodness, they are full of ideas, any of us that run these local schools. And when we had, by the way, this Earth Day project came out of Bobby, a student at Kenilworth School, coming to address us at Entertainment Committee, telling us about all the ideas she had to make our environment and green spaces nicer and stuff. She was really, really inspiring. She inspired us on that committee to go away and think about what we could do. And then we had loads of cards and pictures and letters from students, pupils at Kenilworth School and Saffron Green School saying what they would like us to do as a town council. So things like litter picks, planting flowers, all these kind of things. So off the back of that, and I just do want to, I know in a short time, but I really feel it's important to say, the children have been leading on this Earth Day. They've come up with the ideas, they've inspired the adults to go out and do things, and off the back of that, we have delivered plants, beautiful landscape gardening plants, to 6 schools in the local area. We've helped them to organise litter picks. We've delivered wildlife bug hotels and wildlife boxes to them as well. And we got a great deal from Garden of the World, it's a very good price for this, basically cost price. So it's been a fantastic collaboration. I went out to the schools on Tuesday to drop the bug hotels off, and the response from the teachers and the pupils, they are so grateful to us for our support. And this is, for me, when I go and talk to children about what we did, this is something that casts genuinely the council and politics and the idea that we can all change the world if we want to, if we try to start off with little seeds that grow into beautiful flowers. This is the kind of thing that I think is great for them to see. So I want to thank everyone who's been involved in this in any way. We will be receiving, just to finish, we'll be receiving photos, videos, and all kinds of things from the schools over the next few days of the beautiful plants that they've done before and after shots, before and after litter and stuff. So thank you very much. And there's also a community litter pick taking place on Saturday at 11 AM, organised by Gratitude, that's at the Gratitude Hub, so everyone's welcome to that. Thank you. Okay, point 10, the Elstree Bournemouth Film and Television CIC. You'll be pleased to hear that there is no presentation on this. There is a written update that, due to the confidential nature of the contents within, it will be circulated to members at some point after this meeting. So we need to move on to 3, which is to 2, to see the verbal update on the status of the FTCIC. And I'm looking to possibly Jeremy or Gillian.
So as a very brief update, the current works of the CIC are ongoing. Our usual business continues with payments for insurance for the artefacts, pod work and things like that. So the projects on the horizon will be contained in a confidential report, but for general CIC operations, it's business as usual, there's no red flags or anything to raise.
Great to know, thank you. So point 3 is to appoint the EBFT-CIC director following the resignation of Tracy. Who are we appointing to that?
Nominated Gillian.
Okay. Does that need to be seconded? Linda, second? Okay. So, all in favour? So, and then we don't have any other resolve in actions, do we? No. So that's point 10 done with. Thank you, members. Point 11, finance. So the accounts for payment. To know the schedule of payments made on the delegated authority. That's fine. The income report to note the income received in the period 23rd of. That's the button. It's very important that you keep saying yes before we even finish the sentence. I know we all go. To note the income received in the period 23rd of January 2026 to 1st of March 2026 as follows. And we've done item, which was item 12, obviously. So now onto what is actually the item 13, which is the what's better, he's already knows what's coming. Exclusion of the press and public. So I need that the press